So, all right. So today's topic, I think we decided to discuss how the pandemic affected your business. And I'm gonna let you run off on it, Brandon. Let you start it out. Yeah, man.
Man, so for me, it was more of a saving grace. November 2019, I moved locations. February, I broke my arm. And then COVID started in March. So for me, those 3 or 4 months prior to COVID starting, I kind of was in a scramble. You know, moving location, trying to maintain clients and do all that stuff. Then I break my arm, and it's like, you really got to sit your ass down. You can't do nothing. Like, ain't no picking up no boxes, ain't no sweeping the floor. You got a plate and 6 screws in your arm. So when it started, it put things into a position for me where I had to start using my mind more. You know, I wasn't able to use my physical body, so I had to use my mind. And while everything was changing, I was already in the process of changing my business. So for me, it allowed me to move forward in business without some of the anxieties and some of the stress. Because everybody, you know, for the first 2 months, everybody pocket was fucked up. None of us could do any kind of business. So for me, it was more of a saving grace at the end for me. It was a saving grace for me.
So you're saying it's more like it was more positive than negative?
For me, it was more positive.
The initial, right?
The initial lockdown was more positive. This new phase of pandemic that we're in, man, it's bullshit, bro. Like, I'm not at home, so I'm not experiencing what some of you guys are experiencing. But when you, from a perspective of reading into the lockdown laws back at home, and even here in Charlotte, I don't own a restaurant. I own a window covering business where we're going inside of people's homes every single day. So some of the mandates and some of the laws I think that they came down with, it didn't reach the scope of every type of business owner. And I can say right now, I'm kind of happy that I'm not at home to kind of experience how it is at home here in Charlotte. I'm able to go work on job sites. We just secured the procurement of 160 townhomes. We're about to do the project management and the supply. So with things shutting down, you had a lot of big players in the game where they fell off, and now like an opportunity like this, I wouldn't have never thought I had an opportunity like this. So it's made me have to use my mind in a different kind of way. And like 160 units, bro. Like it's a year project.
That's beautiful.
So,
this your first time, right? Doing something that is scope.
I did Northridge. I did the dorms at Cal State Northridge. So I've done different projects, but this is a complete new development from the ground up, like pouring the concrete, bringing the electrical in, the whole 9 yards. So it's a chance for the pandemic brought opportunity that we probably never would have had in certain situations. You got this company, $1 billion company, bringing us in because they can't manage the job.
Yeah, I was going to ask 2 things. One, how has the supply backup that they say is going on with like the ports and stuff from China, how has that affected your business? And then 2, when you say you had to use your mind different, give us like an example that we will be able to, you know, tap into per se.
So to the supply chain answer, yes and no. A lot of the inventory that we use for our day-to-day work is already stocked here in the States, so we were good from that perspective. When it comes to like the cabinets and stuff, the company I get the cabinets from, this dude has the factory in China where he builds them and makes them. He has the shipping part, getting it here already taken care of. And then just across America, he probably has like 8 different warehouses where he already has inventory stocked. So for the most part, yeah, it was delays and stuff, small delays, but I was able to kind of accomplish a lot more because of who I was partnered with. So a lot of this delay things that we're seeing Yeah, it's going from top to bottom, but it's more big name, more big brand. If you tied in with the right company, your supply chain was still strong. So as far as in reference to that, mine was still strong because I was connected to the right businesses and that, who had supply chain. As far as how to think different, I mean, my dad was big on posting on Craigslist when Craigslist first came out, right? So me and you had a conversation some time ago about how do we survive that last recession. So for me, I'm from the generation of I really didn't care for posting on Craigslist, Facebook groups, Facebook Marketplace, all those different kind of things. I wasn't a big fan of doing it. I had to go back into the things that I knew. So posting on Facebook Marketplace, probably grab you. Hey, you make your phone ring about 5 to 10 times throughout the week with new business. So getting back into using some of these platforms that they have out here, we're doing this meeting right now through Zoom. So with some customers, instead of us trying to send a sales rep out to your home to do a consultation, I was able to do live consultations through my iPad and inside of the showroom to show the different type of blinds people could choose. So that's how I was able to kind of go to a different way of thinking.
And so prior to, you were saying you weren't utilizing the tools that was available per se
At all.
And why was that?
Because we already had a flow of customers. We already had a strong flow of customers and day-to-day business. So really, sometimes dedicating 2 hours, 3 hours to posting online really didn't make sense. When you got a canvasser knocking on doors, passing out flyers, going straight directly to the customers. So using Facebook's platform with however many followers you can create on there, how many people are on there viewing, actually worked in my favor.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, man, I think he hit the nail on the head. Brandon actually said a lot of good, positive things about this pandemic, and I think that from a hustler's perspective, if you're a business owner with a hustler's mentality, you're always able to find opportunity within tragedy. I mean, you know, us coming from where we come from, we're hunter gatherers. You know what I mean? We see it from a different perspective, so we're able to get it from a different perspective. And I feel like the pandemic was just reinforcement to take you out of your comfortability zone, so that you can reinforce those instincts, those hustler instincts, because you know there are certain people, certain business owners just folded, and we saw it. And those were the, you know, I don't want to speak for all of them, but a good portion of them weren't built the same way. A good portion of them weren't built from the hustler's foundation. You know what I mean? And I think that's the difference between the business owners that were able to be resilient through the pandemic and the business owners that just weren't able to cut it.
Most business owners who folded were already operating on other people's money.
Yeah, but there's a way to do that. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Sorry. There's a way to operate on other people's money and still have and still be able to flex that without jeopardizing the business, and still having years worth of business in the pipeline, even in a pandemic or whatever the tragedy is. The great thing about the people that I've worked with is they've kind of showed me the preventative measures and the preventative maintenance aspect of things with regard to you know, running businesses. So a lot of I've seen a couple of real estate operators that have, you know, purchased property in specific areas, that they just purchased properties just for the good deal. And then I've seen other real estate operators who purchase properties very selectively. And within that selective process, they've also been very selective with regard to the tenants that they put into the properties as well. So if they, you know, if one business owner is buying, you know, let's say in Koreatown, and the other one is buying in West Hollywood. You know, I'm just throwing two cities out there, has nothing to do with nothing. But the business owner, the way that the tenants in K-Town are being selected is a lot different than the way that the tenants in Beverly Hills or West Hollywood are being selected. And I feel like that setup has a lot to do with how successful or how recession proof or how pandemic proof your plan is going to be, you know, moving forward. And both business owners I spoke with, you know, during the pandemic, and they had two different experiences within the pandemic because of the way that they set up these businesses.
Trey, you want to go, or you on mute?
Man, that's been happening to me this whole time. Yeah, I mean, I think I mean, I haven't really had any issues. I mean, since I moved up here, I have been trying to get my clients to work remotely, just from jump, you know. Some bit it, and others didn't. I'm a designer, so I can work from anywhere. Yeah, you know, since I got here, I had already been reestablishing different things, so it was kind of, it's pretty much, I don't know. I feel like maybe that it was probably busier than it was normally. You know what I mean? In the design realm, because you're gonna always need advertisement. You're gonna always need commercials. You're gonna always need some sort of thing to take your attention away from this other thing or bring your attention to this other thing. But I think that from my client's perspective, it opened their eyes and saying, well, damn, we can actually work remotely on a large scale. You know what I mean? Because they had the resources, and I had been trying to tell them for an entire year, yo, y'all should work remote. Y'all should work remote. And they just didn't want to do it. And then now everything is remote. People are hitting me up now. Yo, you available? You available? You available? And I'm just like, we could have already been on this train. But yeah, I mean, I launched a new business during this time, you know, a soap company, you know, a Black-owned all-natural soap company that literally I had been working on right before it all popped off. When I got back into the country, I just went ham on it, and it's launched, you know what I mean? And now we're growing it, and you know, it's still in its infancy, but launched the fucking business out of this shit, you know what I mean? So, you know, I can say nothing but good things.
Trey, I think you said a mouthful just now, bro. Like a lot of people from I'm gonna talk about both sides.
Yeah.
From a consumer side, they were stuck. And so, you know how they say an idle's mind is the devil's playground.
Yeah.
Well, you know, they you know, the consumers have more to think about, you know, and realize how constricted they were, and how much they weren't taking advantage of the resources that they had with regard to Zoom and, you know, all these other distant environments. Like I've gone to school online, and in my opinion, I feel like it's the best way to learn something. You know, even Google's, you know, certification programs, those are all online, and you can learn a wealth of information. And I feel like, don't quote me, but I feel like within the next 20 to 30 years, brick and mortar is only going to be here, you know, as headquarters. Everything else is going to be online, and I feel like it's going to be beautiful because it's going to allow people to be more productive. You know what I mean? And from a business owner's aspect, I feel like they've gotten more creative, you know, during this pandemic, and it's allowed them to establish either new branches of their business or brand new businesses entirely. And, you know, they either scrapped what they were doing, or they restructured the way that they were doing things in order to accommodate people in different ways. And I feel like that is priceless.
Facts. Facts.
Real.
Yeah, man. You launched a business out of a pandemic. That's amazing, and that's real hustler to entrepreneurs. Um, that's we commend you for that for sure.
Definitely. Congrats, bro. Mazel tov.
What about the pandemic, D, that made you that either allowed for or pushed you more towards creating or launching the business that you had?
Oh, you know what? Honestly, like, so I had been working on it right before the pandemic or whatnot, and we had left the country, went to Brazil, so I was all right. I'm gonna stop, and I had this whole spiritual experience there. So then when I got back, it like literally everything, it was shutting down, boom, 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 boom. So then so I was all right, well, let me go into study mode, and then let me also go into just continue doing the shit that I'm gonna do. Because here's the thing, you got to have emotional agility through all this shit, right? And if you don't have emotional agility, you're not gonna be able to pivot how you need to pivot. You know what I mean? You're gonna be more in shock than more in the realm of strategy and trying to figure shit out, right? Problem solve. So I just stayed in the realm of building. When say, maybe clients weren't calling because they're trying to figure their things out, I'm like, all right, let me build this thing, because this is an item that people need. People need soap, people need to be clean, just in general, not because of the pandemic, but just in general. So it allowed me just to really continue down that path. Nothing really changed about how I lived. I still went out and observed nature and still live my life as I normally would, because that's how you have to move in order to not be consumed by the things that are going around you. So that's how I decided to move. And because of that, it allowed me just to remain balanced, so I can, launch a business. And then also thinking about, what are people's needs and necessities? We saw that when this whole thing popped off, people bought all the toilet tissue. You know what I mean? Like, shit was being sold out. And that was a complete read on people's I want to say like lack of rationale, in a sense of impulse, in terms of not being able to control the impulses and be able to think strategically about shit. So I'm like, all right, well, initially this thing was candles, and then I scrapped the candles for now, and then went to soaps, because that's just something that people need. And I mean, I hope I'm answering your question right, because I feel like this is kind of drawn out.
Back in Los Angeles, when the lockdown first happened, beauty shops were able to stay open as essential because they sold soap.
There you go, right there. See, there you go, right there. See, essential business. There you go.
They sold soap. They were able to stay open. Like, I had to talk with one of the business owners. He's like, I sell soap. That's essential.
Yeah.
Ladies still gonna buy their weave, but
right. So I can't get my weave, but you can get my. Yeah. So yeah, there you go, right there. Like, I mean, though, because we were in San Jose and then we moved to the forest, so I had, like, I'm just in the forest. I mean, what you want me to do? So I'm just making soap.
You experienced what I experienced. You moved from wherever you were before it started, or as it started, to a different place.
Yeah.
On the clock. As the world is falling apart, if I would have stayed still at home, it'd have been like claws on the wall. Like, what do I do? Hey, bro, the wife was pregnant. My arm was broke. We moved to Alabama. To have the baby. And even to this day, like, when I go back to my mother-in-law's house, it's the most peaceful place I've ever been on the face of the earth. You don't hear no helicopters, you don't hear no alarms. Hey, I go in the backyard 6 in the morning, you hear the bird, like, my first hour of the day is talking to the birds.
Yeah.
You know, before anybody wake up at home, I couldn't even call home to call y'all. If I'm up at 6, it's 4 o'clock at home. So it's like I gotta deal with myself for 2 hours in the morning. So spiritually, like you say, emotional agility, that's a big, big thing. Like most people at home are still dealing with the emotional side of this. Like, a lot of people ain't even started living again. I can speak of my moms and aunties and stuff like that. They still in lockdown mode, and that's not helping.
Let me ask you guys this. You know, based on us kind of maneuvering out of this current pandemic, if there were another type of epidemic or national emergency or global emergency, like, you know, them shutting down the internet, do you think that business owners are savvy enough or have enough emotional intelligence to get through that?
Bro, I just want to jump in on this one real quick.
Please do.
I want to try to make it short, but like insightful, I suppose. So I think it really depends on where you are. I think geographics play a huge part into it, right? Because I feel like if you're in like a major city, and you forget where you get your shit from, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm just gonna go to Whole Foods and get some fruits and veggies and shit. If you that type of person, you're fucked. You just fucked. I don't care what type of business you got, you fucked. But if you're in a community space where people understand like how to grow shit, you know what I mean, and understand like how to like survive without those necessary tools,
we bought a cow. Bought a cow. Like we got. I have at least 6 months worth of beef in the deep freezer.
Come on, man.
For my house and my mother-in-law's house. Like, hey, over here, bro. Seeing stuff to work as simple as like bartering, it happens over here still. So at home, it's a disconnect. Like in a major city, it's a disconnect. You're fucked. You hit some of these small little backwood towns that people turn their nose up on. Kev, I know you're gonna have something to say about this because of stuff, bro. But like a person who's living in a town where the population is only 20,000, they're not worried about getting a shot because, hey, half the people in the town might be their cousins and their family. You know, like in a major city, I understand that. But the way I've been living and the way most people live outside of these big cities, that's why you see so much of this resistance, because it's like, man, bro, the town I was in Alabama had 21,000 people. Hey, you go to Walmart, you go to Publix, you go to Winn-Dixie and get your food. If not, you can ride down a side road and you can run into a fruit stand and buy whatever fruit that you want. That's different than being dependent on a supply chain. Outside of even the pandemic. So over here, we're going like, you got pandemic going on, and then you had Hurricane Ida come through, right? That's been about a month. I still go in grocery stores today in North Carolina where the storm did not hit, and they don't have stuff on the shelf due to Hurricane Ida. So just making sure that you live from a perspective of like, I don't need the system. Like we can live off grid, really get into that mindset. Even at home, like if you got some dirt in the backyard, yeah, you need to put some strawberries back there and some lettuce so you can eat something.
Big facts. Big facts. And
I would have not thought of that or felt that way if I was still in the city throughout the whole pandemic.
Yeah.
Like that's back to what I said earlier about my business. I don't own a restaurant, bro. Like I got homies who own restaurants, successful restaurants, so I'm not knocking it. But like every business owner is in a restaurant, and so many rules and things were made behind eating. Most of the shit that they talk about still today has something to do with eating. Bars and restaurants, all these mandates is based behind eating. All right, fuck it. Make people eat at home. That'll change the whole narrative of it.
So I got two. I'm gonna go ahead and expound on both what Mike asked and then what we've been discussing as a group.
Uh-huh.
Could business owners survive a pandemic where the internet goes down? I think that drastically changes the way that business that we know would go on. Although the internet is still fairly new, the ability to network and connect instantly and to so many people, it's almost can't be duplicated hand to hand per se, right? So it's tough because I think for me as a business owner, I wasn't prior to the internet, but I was prior to social media. I've learned how to network and connect with people, put the groundwork in, knock on doors and be like a traditional salesman, flag you down. I can remember, like Rosecrans and Sepulveda, they had just built that new shopping center. They got the, I think it's a Container Store there now, and Whole Foods across from the mall. But when it was just without the Whole Foods, it was real slim. It was like Best Buy, Cost Plus, a Borders bookstore that ain't there no more. And we literally took clipboards in there, printed out some paper, and would run you down at your car to get your phone number, your name. So, hey, we wash cars. We know you don't have time today, but we come to you. If we can just get your name and your phone number, we can contact you when we in the area, and then we can set up a car wash. And I mean, we walked away with a clipboard full of names and numbers. And we also got put off that property because they didn't like the soliciting. But I also went across the street and took my whole team. So at this time, I think it was 4 or 5 of us. I took the whole team. We divided up some flyers, and we went and canvassed the whole mall parking lot until we got kicked off. They called the police and everything. And then I went up the street to Connector, and we put flyers on everybody's car until we got kicked off. Like that, you see what I'm saying? I don't think that most business owners have that drive. 1, to hear no. 2, to get down and dirty. 3, to risk it all, because the sacrifice of 4 Black, well, it might have been 1 Hispanic, but at least 3 Blacks and a Hispanic who's dressed in, we weren't dressed all the way up in suits and ties out, chasing white people down per se and giving them flyers. Asking to come to their house is not the most, the easiest thing to do in Manhattan Beach. But we did it. And I mean, we did that everywhere. There was nowhere I can go where I wouldn't put 5 or 6 business cards on cars.
You was doing that in the year of the flockers.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Oh yeah. The amount of time we got put over by police and stuff is crazy. But if I get out of a car, if I park my car, I'm putting 5 flyers on cars on the way to wherever location I'm going. And I'll come out and see them on the floor. So many people throw them down, but that 1 or 2 people that kept it. You get what I'm saying? So it's not many. I think the internet has removed that vulnerability as well as that grind out of a lot of business owners, because they can maneuver around the no or downplay the no. And I think that no builds the tenacity that's necessary to be able to turn, as we say, lemonade out of lemons. What we discussing now with the pandemic. So I definitely think business would be good for those who are willing to get back boots on the ground and just, and emotional agility. I don't really know the definition of that. I'm usually narrow in how much I understand, but from what I can glean from what you guys are saying about emotional agility, I think that it's necessary, because you have to be able to process those no's, experience that frustration, but temporarily, you get what I'm saying, and be able to turn it right back off and get right back into the drive. And I think the internet has saved a lot of people from that. So that's one. And then on the second end, I don't know if y'all want to jump in and ask something or expound on that before I go to number two. That's on you.
You good.
All right. So then now, go ahead.
The funniest thing about doing solicitation door to door is the person who gets the flyer on the door who had that "no, don't solicit my home," and they call you to cuss you out because you put a flyer on their door.
You know what I used to say?
Trash can.
You know what I used to say?
Huh?
I used to say, so do you want your car washed or no?
Right.
You called me. So, I mean, now we're here. You want your car washed or no?
It worked.
Yeah. I mean, now you know who I am. Do you want your car washed or no? So, but the pandemic. So I'm not the only, but seemingly I'm the one that's, I think on this panel that's real hands-on. Like, I think Brandon, you said you kind of you pivot your business a bit. My business wasn't necessarily able to pivot during this pandemic. So the initial onset, just like DeAndre, I come back home March 12th, get back in from Cancun. The next, I get in at 12. I think we get in at 12:30 a.m. And
that's when I got back. 12. That's wild.
Yeah, we walk through. We walking through Tom Bradley, and it's literally nobody but the police and the and customs. And we like, damn, what, we kind of heard about this COVID thing. They had just started checking temperatures on the flight back from Mexico. And now we here and they like, everybody is covered up and it's shutting down. So that morning, it came over the news like it's over, like, nobody go to work. So that's March, I think that was March 13th. I think 12th was like a Sunday. So that Monday, things had changed. So I literally was unable to make $1 for three months, at least 3 months. I think they let me back into a building July. So from March to July, I couldn't make a single dollar doing what I've done for the past 10 to 12 years. I think more than that. I think I'm 15 years in, but even my clients, my personal clients that's outside of restrictions, they was unprepared, scared, and their industries has shut down. So because they didn't know how long this was happening, they closed down spending any extra money. I have NBA clients. NBA shut down. They don't want me there because they trying to figure out how they're gonna get back into a bubble and so on and so forth. So like people with big money literally shut their pockets down and their homes. So I couldn't make any money. So I prided myself for the first time on being one of those cats that saves money. I put money away. Like you're not gonna no knock to people because some people figured out a way to make it profit for them. But I'm not a big shoe guy. I'm not just spending $230 or the $400 on a Jordan pack because I made a few dollars. Like to me, it was always you hustle, you save your re-up, and then you save again. It was never to blow the money. So in that, here comes this pandemic and we have money saved. So I was able to float myself enough money. I could have lasted 6 months easily and stayed doing what we was doing. So not being able to pivot and not being able to go get the money the way I knew, it allowed for me to do what I usually do. Regardless if I'm losing a big client or an employee quits or a recession or as of now, pandemic, is I find ways to fine tune my business to, like you say, Brandon, to no longer rely on a system. So to no longer even rely on my own system. So I built my business out of a motorcycle crash that I had that put me on disability. So I couldn't make money. So I was like, okay, let me make something where I never have to go back to disability and rely on this 2-week check. So with the pandemic, I said, okay, let me figure out the way to make the most amount of money in the most efficient way. And so I started crafting my business around that, which included, so now I'm turning down a lot more personal clients and going for, as you stated, more commercial opportunities, bigger fleets and different things like that. And I was able, as you started, excuse me, my throat getting, but as you started, I was able to put money into my brand. And then putting money into the brand, I was like, okay, let me start, trying to educate people a little bit more on what we do and how you can use us. So I don't have any like emotional angst, or I didn't feel any pressure, but I also felt like, damn, I can't pivot. Like, what do I do next? So I think we sold a few hats and shirts that we printed up just to try to drum up some business, just to get some income coming in. Because as a hustler, if you don't have no money coming in, it just feel different. But that's when I think more so me and you just started talking more about putting together the podcast, because I'm like, I need to figure out a way to generate income if this go down. So that's where we at now. So I wasn't able to pivot, but I was able to fine tune and get better for sure.
Yeah, what you realize as a business owner, bro, and I went through it, you always have your foundation. So when the shit, I'm the type of person, when I clean up the house or when I do anything, I have to fucking destroy it down to the foundation to rebuild it. Yeah, I don't know what that is within me, but I do it several times every so often. I'll break shit down and I'll bring it back, break it down, bring it back. So like with the pandemic, it broke everything down to the foundation. But you remember, like, I'm not a foundational business. Like I'm on level 15, I'm on level 20, like 20 years in this, you 15 years in this. So it's kind of better going back down to fine tune, because you go back all the way to the basement and you build that shit back all the way up again. And me sitting back watching you with your marketing, just from a side, just watching you do your marketing. It's like, okay, you had the time to actually put the time into it. You feel me? So many times, even with my IGs or my social media, I have a campaign in my mind, what I want to do, how I want to run it, and then you only get a week and a half work of your campaign going into like the real world kicks back in, and you fall off what you were doing. You stayed the course. You feel me? So it gave everybody that time to like really fine tune their craft. If you didn't fine tune your craft, you was more in a scared mode of like, I don't want to be doing this anyway.
Mm.
And what I did also too is I spent more time educating myself. I went through the branding books. So I wanted to understand marketing a little bit better. I wanted to understand branding better. I wanted to understand business better. So having that, like you saying, that ability to sit down and just, this is the time to put back in. It's just practice again. Like we in practice mode. We trying to get to the championship, as you said, levels, or we trying to win it again, which is definitely a different time than the first time. So yeah, I think the pandemic has been effective. I think we all have said that it's worked to the benefits. I still don't have my morning shift. So my morning shift consists of like 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. That whole time frame is gone for me right now. But it's now by design. Like I'm gonna act like I I'm gonna take the control over that. This is a design now. So now I'm able to do what I know worked and I knew netted me the most profit, the most efficiently. So now that that's the goal, the pandemic just forced me there. And now, it's time to step on the gas in that area.
As a business owner, bro, I know you as well as me. We both got the little ones. And before the pandemic, I know where I would work myself into the ground. Hey, we leave the house at 7, drop them off at school or daycare. I might not see y'all at 8, 9 o'clock tonight. So I've got a chance to spend the most time with my children and build this emotional connection with my children, a deeper understanding with my children than ever before. I'm at a point right now, we're getting this 160 units, like, all right, we need a nanny. Like, we really legitimately need a nanny. Wifey, she got her online job where she work in the house. She ain't gotta leave home, but she can't even put the time into the little ones. So as far as you kind of not having the morning shift, I've even seen from pictures and stuff like that, you didn't got time to go swimming with the boys, spend time with the boys, whereas as a traditional business owner, we don't get a chance to have that impact in our children's lives. For me, it's been a course of like, all right, I love the time. Then it gets to the point to where it's like, man, I need to get back out there. Like, I need to be in the streets. Like, I need to be on the move. But I think one thing that I take from it is like, I got a chance to spend a limited amount of time with my children and build bonds and understandings. And hey, that movie, what's that movie? Apocalypto? Jaguar Paul?
Apocalypto? Oh, yeah.
That's how I feel some days. Like, even when I gotta leave them, when I have to leave them a few times during the pandemic to come back to LA, it's like, man, I'm leaving them down here in this goddamn wheel. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know if they're gonna be back when I come back or nothing. So just being able to connect these bonds with them and from a perspective of like, we've talked government, we've talked, all kind of different things. Like, the lies that we've been told and stuff like that. So be able to instill some stuff into your kids and like let them realize like, okay, challenge your teachers, challenge stuff. Like, don't just take it and walk away like, oh yeah, no, challenge that shit. So that's things I wasn't told as a kid because maybe parents were too busy working. But to be able to spend this kind of time with my children, shit is priceless.
Mm-hmm.
It's coming to an end though.
Facts. Yeah. What's up, Mike? What you feeling?
Man, I'm soaking it all in, bro. I got kids too, and I understand. I get it. A lot of this, a lot of the way that things went with regard to the initial impact of the pandemic was due to misinformation or intentional lack of information. And in my opinion, bro, I feel like a lot of it was just a test, and it was a test on both sides. It was a test from higher powers that be, to just to see how resilient we are as a people, or to see how many sheeps there are, yada yada yada. But it was also a test for entrepreneurs to see, how many businesses there were that needed to be functioning, that actually had something to offer. And when people stopped spending money on the fluff, you got to realize what was important and what wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
What's also coming this pandemic for me was looking for resources. At a point, even this that we building now, I can do it myself guy. Like, I didn't need no help. I didn't need to hear nobody else. I wasn't listening to nobody else. And I'm like, damn, you know what? Like, I need to, I need help now. I kind of had to admit that to myself, like, yo, I need some help. There's some resources that people use that I can definitely take advantage of. And
then at a certain point, bro, you start to realize, like, why haven't I been taking advantage of these resources all this time? I could have been so much further along. Yeah.
A lot of this, for me at least, was ignorance, because I didn't need help, I didn't go look for help. So that's arrogance and ignorance.
Yeah, I grew up having employees pretty much. So Pops already had the business, so I grew up and came into everything of having employees. So as far as that I'm just gonna put it on my back and do it. I got that in me. Like, put it this way, I can outwork anybody who worked for me. Like, you throw me in the mix, I'm gonna outwork anybody. Like, so don't ever take it as laziness. But I've always been blessed with having employees. So for me, in that situation of, oh, I can get it done by myself. No, I'm a person where, like, I want a team around me. You feel me? I need a person who got the confidence enough to go knock on that front door and put the business card out there. I need that person who's skilled enough to go install it. I need to have time to where I can actually deal with the vendors and make sure that we got a supply chain coming up. So I love having a team. Then as far as like the extra resources that are there, yeah, in business, it is that scary thing of people stealing your clients, right? Your employees stealing your clients, or hey, even you giving up too much information to somebody where they can take your resources and run with it. A few years ago, it was this Chinese lady who does accounting for the guy where our building used to be. Lady never cared for me at all. She looked at me like a thug. She needed to get her carpet redone inside of her house. And when she came in and started talking to me, she got a chance to see how many resources I had. She said, "You're so resourceful." And at that point, I realized, like, okay, people are gonna pay you for your resources. So, hey, it might be something that I'm not even able to do, but if I can point you in the right direction, got the right person on the team who can do it, it kind of keeps all money in as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So that one hand washes the other. So having a team behind you and on your side is priceless, bro. Like, my wife is one of those people where it's like, I can do it myself. Don't call nobody in, don't hire them. I can do it myself. But then you really look up, okay, it's time to make dinner. It's time to do this. And then you look up and you just become farther and farther away from your goal. You got to make sure that the only way you can sometimes hit that mark is having somebody else who capable of doing that work do it for you. And a lot of times, if your resources are set the right way, you can do it without even having to pay the person. It ain't always about monetizing. It ain't always about money. You know, I'd rather give that task to somebody who got that skill set, bro.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm reading a book this week. It's called The Altered States of Consciousness, and they talk about how important it is to understand that we are part of the whole. You know what I mean? How everything is connected, and how, you know, we play a valuable part. And I feel like, just, and, you know, from an employee perspective, I feel like employees don't realize how valuable their contribution is to, one, for job security for them, and two, you know, to help keep the chain running smoothly so that, you know, everybody benefits. You know what I mean? And I think it's really important to hire the right types of employees. I think it's important to, you know, to have employees that understand the vision and the mission. But I also feel like that's part of the responsibility of the CEO or the business owner to ingrain that in their in their business culture and in the mindset of their employees.
I agree. Yeah, I had employees, and I still had the I can't rely on them. You get what I'm saying? So that was a hindrance, a huge hindrance. I'm glad that I'm able to do the job, because, this past, now I think what I say. So maybe since August, I've been consistent, because I believe they had shut back down again and then kind of popped back up. I've been hands to the grindstone and can't find employees. Like, that's right now, I cannot find an employee. I mean, I can raise the wage up to a place where, the margin might not even be there if there's a any lag. You know what I'm saying? So
when you put your ads out looking for employees, what do you use?
I'm using Indeed mostly.
Okay.
I'm going to go back to Craigslist just to hit over there, but I just put out maybe like 4 or 5 different hiring sites, I'm getting kicked off of there because they like, yo, this is for 100,000 and up career jobs. This is
You
for
want the ladders?
universities,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
of that. I put them on all of it. They kicking me off. Like, yo, I don't mind
So
getting kicked out.
so I mean, honestly, like the career builders and the zip recruiters, I think those are really good resources. But also too, don't be afraid to, chat with headhunters. Because headhunters will go and get exactly who it is you actually want. The type of employees you actually want, even if they're headhunters for temporary firms. They have a whole pipeline of people who are looking for work. And I feel like, whether it's for either one of you guys' business, that like I feel like those are really good resources. But also too, the freelancers that are on, like Fiverr and all of this kind of thing, I feel like those people are also looking for opportunities. Like you find people who are actually looking for opportunities that you can connect with, who actually, post on free sites that they, that they're interested in learning, that they're interested in doing work that nobody else is willing to do, or that, or that everybody is willing to do. But they'll also provide a resume of what sets them apart, and how their skill sets could be beneficial to your organizations.
So that site is called Headhunters.
Well, yeah, a headhunter is basically somebody who goes and hunts heads that who want to work.
Yeah, they just I had a client just recently put me on the Task Rabbit, something of the sort. So she was like, even though the motive there is a little different, you can probably still find people. So getting those resources,
yeah, man, that's freelancers.
But yeah, I think ultimately though, the pandemic has served a tremendous amount of benefits for those that are, and I'm gonna keep saying it just because I like to hear it said, emotionally agile. I think I'm using it right. Let me know if I ain't using it right, D.
Nah. Emotional agility, emotionally agile, same thing.
So yeah, because it for an entrepreneur who might have been doing things one way, you now get a whole, a 360, if not a 360, at least a 270-degree view of business. Like, what's his name? Gary Vaynerchuk talked about it often, on how many people he thought would fall off because they never experienced a recession, or they've never experienced anything that's of the scale of a pandemic, and they wouldn't be able to pivot or absorb everything that come along with it. I think we built for this. We definitely built for this, because you got to be pretty damn crazy to start a business or to continue to run one. So I think that's the most insane people in the world, because it's a service for everybody, and it hardly ever is the service for yourself, at least in the capacity. So
hey Dre, I didn't get a chance to come to the Bay during the pandemic. You mentioned earlier about having people around who had the capability of growing. How was that up there?
So I mean, I don't know if it ever like because I mean we moved to we moved to the forest, so like they have like local markets, local markets that serve like that, like have farm direct organic produce, you know what I mean? So you have people that would like locally sell the stuff that they produce in the market, you know what I mean? So like that's kind of how it was for us, because when we were in San Jose when it first started, we would literally not even go to Whole Foods. We would drive like an hour to this market, which is now down the street from us, to get our groceries, because it didn't hit like it hit in a big major city, you know what I mean? But with me and my girl, we kind of like are in that space of wanting land, and like and having a house on that land to build community and stuff like that, right? So that's kind of like already within our ethos. But just being here was much different because, like you said, being in Alabama in the countryside, with only a few thousand people, 10,000, 20,000 people, it's just a different type of temperature, because Silicon Valley, everybody is like uptight and everybody is, they have this, what's the term I'm looking for? Like get out my way mentality. You know what I mean? And they can go in that panic mode real quick because they're so technical about shit. You know what I mean? And they're like, well, data this, data that. And it's like, yo, shut the fuck up with your data shit and just like feel into your intuition for a second. So yeah, it was pretty chill. Like, we can get our eggs from someone that grows eggs locally. You know what I mean? It was, and we're near the coast, so you just got a different type of experience. People are much more middle ground than left or right. You know what I mean? And then you got a whole melting pot of that as well. But we didn't really get hit like the bigger cities did. So to say all that, it was smoother. It was a lot smoother for sure. I can say that because like I will look at LA and I'll be seeing videos and it's like ghost town, like nobody's on the freeway, nothing, but the same thing happened here. Like I'll be on a highway and I'll be like, damn, it ain't nobody on this motherfucker. You know what I mean? We'll be driving up to Mount Shasta or something. And like even during the whole thing, we would drive up to like Northern California, to even more Northern California, like Mount Shasta area. And again, these isolated communities, they just had a different type of texture to them, so it's like, damn, like we can live like this
and survive.
For real.
I really thrive, really thrive.
Really thrive, bro. Cause like, it's funny because just before all that, we were in Brazil and we were in like they still had Carnival, they were popping, they had the little COVID things, the signs and everything, but they were like, yo, we know it's here, but they had Carnival, they had everything. So we went from a city and then we went to the jungle. So we were in the jungle for like, I don't know, like a week. You know what I mean? And we're getting meals made, prepared by this lady. You know what I mean? Like, were we talking about like fresh meals prepared from this lady, and her sons are helping her prepare these meals. You know what I mean? So we got like a window, an open invitation into what it's like to live like in like a community that's like that little town that we were in, probably like 2,000 people, man. If that,
They got that, it has its own ecosystem, it has its own way of its own flow, and it's just smooth. It's real smooth.
That part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's going on, Kevin? What's going on over there, man? You nodding out on it?
No, I'm going through the list, making sure we're hitting all the points that I want to.
You got the Hennessy over there. You got a couple. You got some Hennessy over there. So.
No,
yeah,
like, I just had that coffee. I'm getting juiced up. I got out the sun. Yeah, I was over here melting for a little minute.
Oh, yeah.
But nah, yeah, everything sound good. Definitely. Go ahead, Mike.
No, sorry. I just want to touch on what Dre and Brandon were talking about. I feel like what the pandemic has taught everybody with regard to from the entrepreneur side is it's important. Well, everybody actually, not even just the entrepreneur side, is get back to basics. Like you got to understand the essentials, and and keep it simple. If you aren't operating, with a strong foundation, everything else is shaky. Everything else is shaky, and you could be knocked off the block just as quick as what happened there? You guys hear me still?
Yeah.
You could be knocked off the block just as quickly as as the next house that was built, with shoddy materials. You know what I mean? If a tornado came through Los Angeles right now, probably 80 to 90% of these houses would be gone.
One thing I got a chance to see being out of state during this is where you see these big corporations, your Walmarts, your Sam's Club, everywhere you go. I can see mismanagement within in these smaller cities. You can see like mismanagement within these big corporate businesses. Mm-hmm. So whereas like at home, okay, it really goes underhand. You really don't ever see it. You might be mad at the employee, but here I can see it from like the top. Like, oh, supply chain messed up, management's messed up. So a lot of times I'll hear all of the Carl's Juniors or Hardys, whatever they call them, are closed.
Yeah.
Right? But I can see why. I can see the mismanagement within it. So certain areas and stuff like that, this pandemic has made it to where, for me, at least my lenses, I can see where big companies are screwed. Like, it's kind of better to be David than Goliath in these situations, you know. So I learned to move. I learned to move a little bit lighter. I don't need all the bulkiness around me. Like I think that, especially in business. Usually think that you got to have this, and that. Really, some of those attachments become heavy in these times. So being able to shed yourself of all that extra weight, get straight to the point.
Man, that's real talk, B. Just reflecting on, you know, it's like, how do you vertically integrate your life? You know what I mean? You know, our thoughts on our own thoughts. So, you know, we become subjects of realms of like grandiosity, you know what I mean? Which, like, you know, we were stuck in this space looping, you know what I mean, about things that are not even things we should even be in a space or a context to even taken in. And you know, thinking about like when we were taken from Africa and then put into these spaces of just like complete like oblivion. You know what I mean? We had to figure out how to navigate, and we had to figure out how to exist in this new framework that's a perpetuation of white supremacy, right? So the idea of going back to vertical integration, it's like going back to basics is like, what are your necessities? You know, how can you thrive? How can you really be attuned with your being without all this other extra noise? You know what I mean? In that same framework, like you said, like you literally just said, it goes hand in hand with your business because it can weigh it down. You might think you need all these different attachments and whatnot, but these attachments it's just another form of consumerism, and it's going to convolute your business. It's going to convolute your mind, and it's going to convolute how you actually grow the business. You know what I mean?
All right, so I have two questions towards the end of this for everybody, which is, how should we be coming out of this pandemic? Like, what should be the focal point for businesses? And I mean, for each of y'all, I'm sure different businesses will have different focus, but we all know getting back to the basics and shoring up the foundation is one, but is there stay skinny, or is it capitalize and expand at this moment? Like, what do you guys think is the goal coming out of the pandemic? Now that we see that we lost competition, so a lot of businesses that fell out of the race. There's more resources available, and we're more educated. What should we be doing with this next few months, 6 months?
Expand. Go into different areas that you thought you would never want to go into. Well, this is for me per se. So in the industry that I'm in, I can always go back to. I got a chance to drive across the country so many times. So expand. Got a chance to see that the type of business that I am in is really better out of the city, really better out of the places I've been doing business. So okay, for me, it's expand into different markets and different regions. Since it's been on my mind a lot lately, that what's the saying? If you want to go far, go with a group. If you want to go fast, go by yourself. Knowing when to turn it up, knowing when to bring the group with you and when not to bring the group with you. Right now, it's a group project. So the more hands we got, the more coverage we have. So for me, trying to expand across I told my son this. My goal is to have him back home to start 9th grade, which is next year. But within that, it's opening up the business here in Carolina, South Carolina, do business in Georgia. So I'm working my way back home state by state. That's my goal. And to do that, I have to do that with people. So I can't think that I'm going to take on all these extra regions and stuff like that by myself. So it's partnering with the right businesses, the right business-minded people, and growing the business to a different level. You all, like that last recession, the people who got rich out of that last recession are the people who started expanding. And we just mentioned about not adding the extra weight on. So even within the expanding, not adding weight to the situation, just kind of making more, that's why I go back to say, use partnerships to be able to grow the business, okay? If I can give up 40% of business to somebody who's gonna run the business the correct way in Texas, I'm gonna give it up. That gives me another state doing business. So just expanding, bro. That's expand. I think everybody should be trying to grow in different ways.
That's fire. That's fire.
Go ahead, Mike.
Thank you.
So I'm actually going to piggyback off Brandon because I feel like it's important to understand, coming out of this recession or the pandemic right now is the mission of the company, where you want the company to be. I mean, if we're talking the next 6 months, then, if we're solely going to work on the next 6 months, then the next 6 months should put you 6 years ahead. You know what I mean? And so if you really want to know what to do with your business in the next 6 months, think about where you want it to be 6 years from now. And, whether that means restructuring, whether that means to, rewriting the values of the business, whether that means really diving into the mission statement of the organization, or redistributing the vision statement to the employees within the organization so that they understand, what the business is supposed to look like, how it's supposed to operate, what their part within the business is. I feel like all of that is important. And I feel like it's important to have cohesion with regard to everybody involved in your business, so that you can understand where exactly you want to take it coming out of this pandemic.
Man, I can't say nothing there. Dre, what you got?
Yeah, man, they didn't spit them die lines, that hot fire. They didn't spit that hot fire. They spit that lava. Yeah, man. Like I don't really have anything to say. I guess I'm really big into technology and stuff like that, right? So that's kind of like how, like, depending on what type of brand or company you have, how do you fuse the two? That's kind of how I look at it, moving forward, because everything is changing at a rapid pace. There's different policies that are being passed based off of, like, there's a lot of greenwashing that's happening in terms of environmental stuff, right? That really create politics around different business models and stuff like that. So I think being aware of those types of things are going to be important, because, like, people who depend on water to run their business, that's gonna allow their structure to look a little different, in the next 6 years, because water rationing, right? So just different things that are going to be coming down the pipe. For me, it's like, how do you ensure that your business can survive those things before they actually become implemented, right? Like, I'm working with a brand up here, my boy, CoreSmith. It's a basketball apparel brand, and right now I'm helping him fuse technology into his brand so that his brand can stay relevant. Because the things of tomorrow, or the things of the past, are not going to be the things of tomorrow. It's going to be some sort of hybrid. And you can see that even within our human biome, like, there's all types of shit that's coming out to aid in, like, human this human development and different things like that, and those same things are going to exist in terms of the realm of business. So just making sure you future proof your shit.
How do you guys feel about crypto and Bitcoin? Do you guys see that replace currency in any kind of way? And within your business, would you accept that as a form of payment?
So that's an interesting thing, right? I hope that I'm not sounding any type of way when I'm talking. I'm just trying to convey my thoughts. So I've been in crypto since like probably 2016, right? And there's definitely a space for it. And that is literally where everything is heading, is into that digital space, right? Because you have, because a lot, we have these physical things that we touch and that take up space, right? But then you also have these digital things that are becoming more vibrant than the physical.
NFTs.
Exactly, right? So, and they also have digital real estate, places like Decentraland and stuff like that. People are spending tens of thousands of dollars and even more to buy digital real estate to have events in the digital space. So, we're in the infancy stage of it, but yes, it's definitely gonna spread. I don't know how the regulatory things are gonna play, government or regulatory bodies, but it's gonna allow us to transact in a whole different way. You know what I mean? Like, would be like you do blinds and construction, everything's like that. There might be a point where you have your own token. You know what I mean? Where you transact with your clients using your own token that can be, converted into, say, the USDT, which is like the US digital token. You know what I mean? So it's definitely going to be around. I think that paper currency in like the next 20 years maybe will be a thing of the past, and everything will be on some sort of digital wallet.
I see it coming. I got a lot of buddies who are in that space.
Yeah.
At first, it's kind of like, yeah, give me 10 bands. I don't care what y'all talking about. Just give me 10 bands. But then you through this pandemic, you really start looking at like what 10 bands feel like in your pocket. And it's like moving around like this, it doesn't get you anything more.
Mm-hmm.
So like you see money in a different form.
Yeah.
That's one thing that the pandemic did do to me. I put money into gold and silver.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I put money into crypto.
Yeah.
So just I'm not even one of those type of investors, like I got buddies heavy. I'm in it real life, but to kind of see like, damn, I got points on my money I had sitting there better than sitting with my money in the bank. So yeah, I'm pro crypto for sure.
And one thing to add to, like with crypto, it also allows you to do things that you may have never been able to do before. For example, like, especially in our culture, right? A lot of Black folks and people of color, they have bad credit, right? So with crypto, they have this sector within crypto that's called DeFi. It's called decentralized finance, right? So they have platforms where say B, you got Bitcoin, right? You loan your Bitcoin to this platform, and what it does is it loans out your Bitcoin at an interest rate. So what happens is you actually get your Bitcoin stays in your wallet, but what happens is someone borrows it and then they pay it back at a certain interest rate. Gotcha. So now, you see what I'm saying? So now you getting collateral. Now you're getting collateral based off of collateral. So say another thing. Say you're like, yo, damn, I really want to go ahead and I found this piece of land. I want to build 3 houses on it. Say you in Alabama, it's gonna cost, say, $350,000 to build 3 houses, right? Say that's the cost, right? Okay, what you do is, instead of you going to a bank and be like, yo, here's my credit, or going to a hard money lender or whatever it might be, or even private money, what you can do is you can take your Bitcoin, put it up as collateral, and then that site that you use, at the DeFi site you use as collateral, what will happen is they'll give you the Bitcoin you need or the money you need to actually fund that project. And what happens is if you can't pay it back, forbid, they keep your Bitcoin.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? But you don't, but your Bitcoin is your credit.
I got you.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm a little ignorant on most. I got a little bit of money in crypto, but I'm always for accepting whatever the medium is to get beyond the no. So if you say, "Oh, I don't have cash," okay, we accept credit. Oh, I don't have credit, we'll take checks, even though that's not the play anymore. We kind of passed that. But so if any of those crypto become a means of a medium of exchange, which money is, yeah, as a business owner, you must accept it, or at least position yourself to accept it. Actually, since the pandemic, we have went 100% cashless. So I don't even take cash from people. That was forced kind of because of the fact that we weren't having as much face-to-face contact. But it also allowed me to build out a website that allowed for me to accept payment schedule better. And sorry about that, that noise is kind of loud. So it allowed for me to accept payment schedule better, and it also helped protect me from losses that would be experienced through employees handling money. When I realized that was in Culver City at the I think it's called the platform. The platform in Culver City is the whole shopping center is 100% cashless. So that eliminated, especially for brick and mortar and retail and restaurant, like there's no robbing me with a gun when there's no money in the drawer, because there's no drawers. Like there's no undercutting or undercounting of change and different things like that when the money is digital. So
so at home I saw it a little bit, but everywhere else, especially out here, the change shortage. They have no change to give you nowadays. So like all those different things to me point in the direction of like it's going to change. I don't know how drastically, but it's going to change in some factor, you know. That's dope, bro. Being able to go completely cash, that is pretty dope. For me, in the type of business that we were in, it was always a benefit if a person wanted a discount to take a cash payment because we can avoid certain stuff.
Yeah.
But it's kind of changed. I signed up with, I got a Costco card, but the other day I signed up with Sam's Club. And you know, you get the gas there on the discount. Well, outside of getting the gas on a discount, when I signed up, the lady says, we don't give you membership cards anymore. Everything's gonna be on your phone. So she downloaded the app on my phone for me. And she said, as you go through the store, you can scan whatever you see, scan it, put it in your basket. If you have your debit card connected to the app, you can pay right then and there. You have to go to no checkout stand, just walk out the door. Like, whoa. Like shit, like, you know what I mean? The light bulb went off, like, whoa, this shit is really crazy.
Yeah, people, that scan and go, people raving about.
Bro, that shit was amazing. Like, I don't really like having debit cards connected because I turn off, after I do a transaction, I turn my card off because I know enough janky motherfuckers who do janky shit. But to walk to the store, do all your checking out and everything that you need to do, and then show the dude your receipt on your phone, you can walk out, was dope. Went outside to get gas, same thing, like, okay, I ain't got my card to put in there, I had to scan the QR code on the screen. Scan the QR code, and in the way the app was set up, it showed you every step that you're at. Take the pump off the handle and choose your gas. Like,
it's 1 o'clock.
This shit is like a new world that we living in, bro. Like, debit card, I'm not a big fan of using my debit card, but like debit cards and having your shit connected to this just like tap and go system is pretty fucking dope.
You know, One of my favorite quotes is a quote by Wayne Gretzky. He says, I never skate to where the puck is. I always skate to where it's going to be. And I feel like this cashless system is something to implement for everybody. But I also feel like Amazon is ahead of the game with regard to all of that. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with their new
Yep.
convenience store model called Amazon Go. But basically it's all cashless. And you basically walk in and you are the asset. Your Amazon Prime account is basically, you got to scan in with that, and then I guess you put your phone back in your pocket, you put everything you want in your cart, and you just walk out, and your Amazon Prime membership is debited. And I feel like, that in itself, man, is just a genius move, because it's doing things in a way that nobody else is doing it. It's still allowing for cashless, transactions, and it's just advancing. It's advancing humankind, bro. Like, why?
The hardest part with all this is, at some point, our privacy is completely being invaded. That's the hard part.
Well,
yep.
you gotta give a little to get a little.
I'll go back on that one. Like, somebody gonna say it.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all see Amazon. They have this new payment system where they use this high definition camera, and you put your palm of your hand up to it, and it scans the lines, and you see the lines right there. It scans the lines in your hand, because everyone's lines in here is unique. So when you go into the store now, it hasn't been completely rolled out, but once you go into the store, you literally scan your hand over the camera, and it checks out your stuff.
Bro, ahead of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Amazon Fresh, they open that on La Cienega and Centinela over there, huh?
No,
Yeah.
not Fresh. Fresh is a grocery store. Amazon Go is their convenience store, and it's only in a few cities right now. And I believe they're going to use the biotechnology that Dre is talking about. And yeah, it's coming. And a lot of people are calling it the 7-Eleven killer, but something to think about, man. I'm definitely going to put some chips, a little more chips into the Amazon stock.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it's interesting, because like the future right now is I mean, I think it's always been that way, but it's even more pronounced now. Is we are the currency. You know what I mean? Human transaction points are the data points. So, you know what I mean? That's a way to, because right now we're moving into a space of, I was bringing it up a little earlier about, about green and eco. I don't know if you guys saw recently, MasterCard, Visa, they released a card based off of how eco your purchases are. So what happens is you get this debit card, and when you make a purchase, it'll tell you how clean that purchase was on a scale of being green. Now, as of right now, it's a thing that's very much so voluntarily, but moving forward, this will probably be implemented into our actual system itself, because to combat climate change or whatever. So these are just different things to look at. You know what I mean?
And we've been waterless car wash since 2007.
There you go.
I've always understood, one, not having to carry that trailer saved me a lot of gas and a lot of space. But also the buildings, the new when they started doing the construction in downtown LA, a lot of those condos was LEED buildings, LEED, which was their green certification buildings.
Okay.
And to match that as a benefit, it's like, yo, we green too. And that was a huge benefit to our business. That was a huge benefit to our business. Was being able to say, hey, we're green. And the green, like I say, it condenses the amount of equipment that we needed to carry. Um, it, it condensed the liability of any injuries to my employees or like so. Yeah, moving to where you're supposed to go or where the puck would be versus where it's at is definitely the move. So yeah, we got a lot of good stuff coming. And I like it too. I think it'll put value back to the house. One thing that was kind of mentioned earlier about at least me and Brandon, I'm sure for you guys too, because we all got kids, was being able and families to stay with your family a little bit more. So you can handle business, but you also have that family time that is usually elusive for the entrepreneur who's putting in 16, 17 hours in the office, where now that 16 to 17 hours is at home around family. So with this digital currency and the scan and go and different things, which is going to lower the amount of employees that's necessary. But this whole Zoom home, yeah, like the whole Zoom and everything is to put people back. I think with families, and I think this is me being speculative. I wouldn't be shocked if we don't move towards the universal basic income as well, which everybody getting a certain flat fee per month just to live.
Yeah,
Because
socialism.
I think that it'll be beneficial because they can still capitalize on it, and I think they're starting to see that. So I think, as we said, I think what was it? I think it's something like over 60 new billionaires or something was created during this pandemic. Something crazy like that. and that was based on giving people money. So it's just a wealth transfer, like, figuring how to play that game. So
yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, I don't see it as a hindrance, but I also too see that at that point for my business, I'm going to be able to charge premium for touch because everything is $5, $7 car wash. So I'm definitely going to be able to charge more for touch because having that human interaction now become more expensive. So as NFTs and stuff come and become more prevalent, when I actually paint that thing, yeah, you see what I'm saying? You owe me some bread. When you get a chance to talk to me about my day, yeah, you owe me some bread face to face. So I see the capitalism on both sides.
Well, also too, just to touch on that, Kevin, time has now become tangible. You know what I mean? Like if you're going to visit somebody, like that's a tangible transaction to, whereas, you could have provided the same service on like Patreon on a recorded video or, whatever the digital alternative is, but time is now tangible.
Man, that's a fact. That's a fact. I was just, as Joe was talking, I was just thinking about like, we're in this very unique space and time, right? Where you think about our estate, like what does that mean? Like our actual estate, right? Whether it's an NFT or whether it's holding on to some crypto, whatever it is, like our actual estate is now tied to our daily life living, right? So say, for example, Kevin, you decide that your business is all based off of, say, Bitcoin or crypto, right? Your business evaluation just went up because Bitcoin is a high value item. You know what I mean? You see what I'm saying? It's limited in the sense of how many that's going to be produced, and it's constantly flowing, especially within these bigger institutions, right? As opposed to something like the dollar, where the dollar doesn't combat inflation. The dollar suffers during inflation, whereas something like a cryptocurrency will thrive during inflation. You know what I mean? Which is something that when you think about it, it's almost never even been heard of before, when you can tie a digital non-existent entity to your business, and that now is a part of your estate. Imagine, you decide, all right, get down or shine rather. You want to now do shine NFTs, whatever that may look like. that's now a part of your estate. That's now part of your brand. That's now part of your you know, your recognition, your value proposition. You know what I mean? And as those things transact between multiple hands, the value of your business goes up. The value of your brand goes up. Because not only that, say, okay, you thought an NFT or whatever it might be, right? And you attach, you say this goes out for X amount of dollars. Or say it's a car wash, say it's a car wash NFT. And the functionality behind it is that you get an actual car wash. And you may get some consultation or whatever. So say I buy that for $5. That's how much you charge it, right? And then I use it, but then I ended up selling it to someone else for $30. And each time within that contractual agreement, you put that you get 10 to 20% royalties off of each transaction. So then say the next person who bought it for $30 sells it for $150. So each time those transactions happen, you get 20% of that transaction. You see what I'm saying? So imagine you start saying, you know what, I'm gonna start selling car washes in the digital realm. I don't know no car wash out here right now that's doing NFTs. You understand what I'm saying?
Bro, they got communities within this. So it's not a if it's gonna go, it's going to go, bro. Like I heard, bro, I've had a few conversations over the last few days. Like about 2 weeks or so. Got a buddy who bought an NFT for like 20,000. Shit resold. He resold it at like 30. Made it quick. It resold for 60 in like a 72-hour period. It's like what's the movie Wolf of Wall Street when he says the biggest fugazi? The shit is the biggest trick ever. Not from a bad standpoint, but it's like we can't. It's so complex that we don't even understand it. Like Rose explained it to me, it's like the way you just broke it down, Dre. I got a better understanding of it. Most people they only can explain it to you in this vague perspective, so you don't get that much buy-in. But the community that's behind it, it's a community behind it that has like fuck you money, and they can do whatever they want.
Yep. Big facts. Big facts. Big facts. There's these big facts. There's these characters that like basic ass little characters that they're called crypto punks. Crypto punks and crypto kitties. These were some of the first NFTs that were ever produced, right? Back in say like 2014, 2015, around that time, maybe 2016, around that time, right? And these things were going for hella cheap, you know, a couple dollars here and there, right? Crypto punks, they're selling for millions of dollars now. And this is they're only a few years old. They made a certain amount of them. They had one, you know, maybe one had a mohawk, one had a beard, one had an earring, like one had gold teeth, like shit like that, right? Something hella basic. But because they were the first to market, first to market and first to prove a concept, you know, the value, it has staying power, right? And that's just kind of like how it is. Like, for example, with like, if you look at brick and mortar businesses, the same thing, the first to market and the first to be able to capitalize off the market, you know, is able to have the long legs on it, as long as they're able to evolve with the market over time, right? So that's essentially what these crypto punks, it's just a digital thing. And then people have this novelty behind them. Ooh, they only got 12 of them or whatever it is. And then they attach themselves to it. And then the value just goes up. Just like with a Porsche. So say you get like a Porsche 911 from like 96. When you bought it, it would say it was 100,000, or say it was a base Carrera. Say it was 75,000 when you bought it. And then, you know, over time, over 20, 30 years, it becomes like a classic or whatever. And then the nostalgia for that car comes back, and then the value triples and quadruples. It's the same exact thing. And like B said, people got fuck money, and they just, you know.
This shit is just snowballing. Man, it's me and my boy be talking. Me and my boy Mike be talking. You know Mike, KD. It's like back in the day when we grew up, this shit is like pogs.
Yes, yeah, bro, exactly. Pog.
It's just like pogs, bro. Like, it's crazy. So definitely every business should have one link, some crypto link to themselves for sure. You got to.
Mm-hmm. Big facts. Big facts.
So I think we had a whole bunch on this one. This is a good one. The pandemic conversation, where we headed to, what should we be doing? I think it's fire. I think we put some different topic ideas. We got a list from Brandon, but I'm guessing if we can do a solid 2 hour, we probably can get around to some of it, adding extra little pieces to it. So at least 2 or 3 topics.
Yeah.
I appreciate y'all. It's definitely well-rounded. I wanted to ask how y'all feel about those videos, the little cut-ups and stuff I'm putting up and posting.
Shit fire. Shit fire, bro.
I hate them.
Say it again, Mike.
I said I hate them.
You said you hate them?
Yeah. Nah, you know what? Actually, I didn't.
You in and out on my side.
Yeah.
Hope I can't hear you yet, Mike. Y'all can y'all hear him, or is just Mike?
Is that better?
There you go. Yeah, yeah.
All right, say it again.
Cool. Sorry. Yeah, I didn't realize how powerful that micro marketing is, because even if people don't join this specific video call, it still allows them to be part of the conversation by being able to repost those videos. So yeah, kudos to you, bro. I love it.
It gave extra brand equity for everybody for what we do, So I think we should constantly keep doing it. Hey, as time evolves, maybe we pull you off of the edits and get somebody else on the edit, so you can study, regular 9 to 5 stuff. But no, it's the beginning. It's the beginning, and shit. It's turning into something, bro. It's turning into something like that shit. What?
Look, I don't know if y'all paid attention, but I was purposely quiet most of this time because of the micro edits. I'm like, fuck, these niggas got fire. I don't need to say nothing. But I have people now DMing me that that I've known for a while, and they like, yo, I heard, I seen something on Instagram where you sharing your knowledge with people now. Like, by the time, like, they kind of, so you're starting to see people watching on the back end, like you saying, Mike, they getting involved without necessarily getting involved. So even though I would expect maybe 10 or 15 people to be on this call now just listening, but as long as we driving the points with this, like you're saying, we getting the brand equity, and we helping people.
I don't think we read. I think we need to we need to close it to the public and select who we want to bring in and build it. Like, everybody don't need to watch us almost. We should do it and almost chop it up after and then sit it out so we can start really creating a podcast behind it, bro. Like, we got a core. We got a hell of a core right here. We just keep coming with the topics and keep building it, bro. Give us 10 tries to 12 tries before we open it to the public.
No. When I say, oh shit, am I on? Yeah. When I say open it, I ain't saying nobody else get to talk. I'm just saying. Yeah, that's not what I was saying. What I'm saying is they can come in and listen to the fullness. I thought about
start creating the crowd.
Right. No, they can't talk. You here to listen. Like, nah, we can't have everybody throwing in they 2 cents. But I was trying to figure out a way I can go live on Twitter with this call, but I can't go live, and I think even Facebook, but I can't go live on Instagram without some crazy like workarounds to go live with the Zoom on Instagram. But no, I just wanted to create a base where people can kind of be in while we saying it live. Because they're not getting, which is probably good, they're not getting all the in-betweens and the cuts, because we all doing saying shit that might not need to be heard per se.
That's my only. I I haven't got to a point yet where I know that whole certain thought. Like, I'm gonna say like, I be tying back now, like, all right, I can say it. Like, all right, now I gotta say it in the most professional way. That's why I be stuttering this shit. I gotta think of the right way to say this shit.
All right,
You know
so
what? I don't even think I don't think we should do that. I think our personalities should just kind of shine through, and whoever can deal with it can, and whoever can't, fuck them.
So should I stop? Let's say pushing the invite out for the Zoom and just keep it us, and then let's go get some people we really want to talk to and bring them in, and then we just push out that, or do y'all want to open it up to where it could be at least 100 people here, but only, you know, whatever core group is still talking?
You know. Oh, go ahead, guys.
No, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
No, so you know, I think the beauty of social media is the fact that there are different types of platforms. You know, if you want 100 people on, you can go to Clubhouse. You know what I mean?
I never been there, but
yeah, it's another resource. It's another tool. It's another opportunity for us to have conversations with, you know, loads of people. And
no, I don't want to talk to everybody though. I'm just talking about us.
No. So
okay.
we can still be in Clubhouse just like this.
Yeah.
But it's more so audio. But people join based on what's going on inside of the room, and I think that's the allure. And I feel like, you know, just, you know, each social media platform has its quirk, has its niche, and, you know, has a certain thing to it. But I feel like the way that you're doing this right now, I feel like it's working. I feel like it's working. Yeah.
You gotta start if you look at anybody podcast or anything that's going on with people, it's like you gotta start that shit somewhere. Like right now, us being where our backdrops, what we got to the point to where we possibly sitting all in the same room every week doing it. As it grows, everything growing, bro. People gonna buy the thing that we're talking about, the encouragement that is given each other. Bro, in the next 6 months, what we've been able to create with this will be able to launch us farther in our own industries, what we're already doing, kind of get us more well-rounded. No, we ain't stopping it.
Big fact. Big facts. Facts.
All right, so
I gotta get groomed. You feel me?
Man, I ain't even trying to go. Go ahead, D.
Nah. I was echoing what B said. Nah, it's big facts. I mean, you know, I think if you look at what's out there right now, everybody's just doing what's in their scope. You know what I mean? And that's fair. Like, ain't nothing wrong with that. But like, you know, we touching on a lot of different touch points. You know what I mean? And you know, like we all from our demographic. You know, but it's a different type of texture. We talking about we're touching like linear shit, but we also touching like very organic. You know, very very abstract type of conversation as well, you know. And I think, you know, when we talk about entrepreneurship and business and lifestyle, it's beyond the linear. It's the curvaceous lines, it's the intersections, it's all these different things. And just in our conversations on our weekly basis, we're always going into those different spaces. You know, we're talking about emotional agility, emotional intelligence. Then we're talking about what's the bottom line, vertical integration. Like, you know what I mean? We're talking about all these different these different byproducts of being an entrepreneur and requirements of being an entrepreneur. And when we look at the other spaces, it's usually how to make money using crypto, or you know what I mean? It's the very basic thing that's happening now. Whereas
it's selling you an ad,
right?
Know?
It's an ad. And we're not, and no one's talking about the core principles. Like you might get the surface of someone's experience that they're interviewing, but they're not spending a fucking episode talking about the core principles of what you need to actually get going. You know, everyone want to floss and show the Rolexes and show the fucking the Rolls Royces and all that shit. Fuck all that, man. Like, that's cool, but do that make you a man? You know what I'm saying? Did I make you a man of honor, a man of your word? Like, does that make you a well-rounded individual? Not really. So I just want to echo that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not actually opposed to keeping us locked down like this.